Hockey, soccer and all other contact sports have been suspended in schools across the country. The Council of Education Ministers made this decision early yesterday in response to calls from education experts and activists about the possibility of a third wave this winter. Well, let's hear from CEO of the Federation of Governing Bodies for South African Schools. That's Paul Colditz this morning. Paul, very good morning. Thanks so much for your time. What is your understanding now of what schools actually need to be doing according to this directive from education?
Well, let me just say first of all that the decision by the Council of Education ministers must first be gazetted before it becomes enforceable. So we're expecting a directive issued by the Minister of Basic Education in terms of the Disaster Management Act to be published within the next couple of days. Obviously, it is very sad that this has had to happen, but I must say we saw it coming. And particularly with the rising infection rate, I think it was the right thing to do, and we support the decision, however sad it may be for the children, for whom sport is extremely important. But the academics remain the core function, the core business of a school. And these infections that we've seen resulting from school sport activities is disrupting the learning and teaching process, so it's the right decision.
Well, Paul, just to go back to what you said, that this has to be gazetted and then sort of put in place, but schools have already sent out directives to parents saying that immediately yesterday that there will be, or all those types of activities will have been suspended already. So is that okay, or should they have waited?
Yes. No, that is absolutely also the right thing to do. The extracurricular activities in a school are governed by the governing body of the school. So irrespective of whether the Council of Education ministers had made such a decision or not, some schools had already suspended their extracurricular activities before the announcement was made because of concerns with regard to the effect on the core business of the school learning and teaching.
Well, there's also been some talk of, whether this should be a blanket decision. Should it be left to individual schools to decide based on, how important this is to their pupils, to the parents as well? So do you think that a blanket decision in this case was wise, or should it have been sort of left to individual schools depending on their circumstances and just how big the activities are there?
Yeah, no, the problem is that we've received reports from community members who are saying that at these sporting activities, people are not adhering to the health and safety protocols. There's no wearing of masks. There is spectators. Spectators were not supposed to be allowed. So I don't think we could have left it to individual schools to decide. I think the fairer position is to have a blanket suspension.
Well, I've also been looking at reaction from parents. I mean, some of them calling into radio stations, others on social media as well, Paul, saying that it's actually not contact sport that actually has created the spread of, or led to the spread of COVID-19 infections in our schools. They say it's actually other activities, other gatherings. It's these pupils getting together, having their own little parties, having their own little gatherings. So, I mean, to what extent might that be true? And also, then should we apply this to things like whether it's concerts that are being planned at the moment, or, other gatherings where pupils have to work or perform together?
Well, let me just say that we're expecting that all curricular activities or inter-school curricular activities, concert and such things will be suspended, but we'll have to wait and see what the final directives have to say, or directions rather. The point is that it may be true. It may be true that it is not the contact sport itself that has caused the increase in infections, but it's the things that surround the contact sport. When you have a rugby match, a soccer match, there are supporters, there are trainers, there are coaches, there are supporting staff, and it appears from what we've seen that it is actually the infection took place not between learners and themselves, but with these contact or support people teachers and so on. But obviously, when learners find themselves in the vicinity of teachers or support staff or others that have been infected, they then immediately have to self-isolate, and that is where the disruption of the education process is becoming serious.
All right, so we're looking at some tricky weeks or months ahead. We'll have to wait and see what happens, especially with Gauteng and the third wave at the moment, and other provinces, as we just heard in the story before this, also facing the possibility of their third waves. Thanks very much, Paul Colditz there from the Federation of Governing Bodies for South African Schools.